Greetings and welcome to everyone. A blessed worship for your services, and I am glad to attend via Zoom and video and share with you some of our insight, share with you some of our understanding of Orange Shirt Day. My name is John Snow Jr. I was ordained September 17th, and I was ordained in Chinook Winds Region 3. And of course, I am now coming to Region 1, Pacific Mountain Region. And so I'm very happy, very honored to be able to serve the Pacific Mountain Region. I want to first say that how we celebrate Orange Shirt Day and how we understand it is going to be critical for our congregations, for our future, as well as for our young people. And so as a day school survivor, I wanted to bring you some perspective, and that I had to struggle and I had to look for my own healing. And for me, I have found the healing while traveling and my pilgrimage through the United Church, as well as my traditional teachings from the Stony Nakoda. This mountain you see behind me is called Yamnaska. That's our sacred holy mountain where we go to fast, we go to have vision quest. Essentially, this is one of our rites of passage, and this is where we receive our medicines. This is where we receive our sacraments. So similar to the sacraments in the church, we have also an understanding and a learning and appreciation of how we apply the Creator's knowledge, the Creator's wisdom to how we live. So I really am honored that you're able to sit here and listen today. I thank you for your attention, and I just wanted to share with you one of the perspectives and a story from one of our ancient elders walking buffalo, Tatanga Mani. He would ask us, why is the forest beautiful? And so this is a basic Stony teaching. The forest has many different trees. It has red trees, green, yellow, black, white, all different colors of trees. And they have all different colors of plants. And so the question becomes, why is the forest beautiful? The forest is beautiful because it grows according to the plan of the Creator. And so there is a diversity of strength in the forest. The larger trees help the younger trees to grow. The larger plants help the smaller plants to grow. Everything is in community. Everything is in harmony. So the teaching of the elders is that if we observe nature, if we observe what is the setting around us, we can learn from nature's university. We can learn as a mankind, womankind, as a humankind, how we can live together in harmony with one another. The plants, the animals, the trees, they all live in harmony. They are all diverse, and there is strength in diversity. There is beauty in their diversity. So we as Pacific Mountain, as we gather for Orange Shirt Day, let's contemplate on how we can live into good relation, how we can live into community, and what we can do to reach out to our Indigenous brothers and sisters, how we can live and grow together for a reconciled future. I hope that you will learn. I hope that you will share. And if you have questions, I hope you will call on me, the Indigenous Minister for Pacific Mountain Region, and we will begin working reconciled strategies on how to reach, how to live, how to begin to talk with communities around us and how we can grow into a beautiful forest as the Creator intends for all of us. I thank you for listening to me today.
Quinninsna, Beverly Brown, Squamish, and Heiltsuk First Nation. So my name is Beverly Brown. I come from the Heiltsuk and the Squamish First Nation here in British Columbia. I am on the Pacific Mountain Region Council Executive. I'm also on the BC Native Ministries with Ray, co-chair. And then I'm also on the National Indigenous Council. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Orange Shirt Day, what it means, what the significance is. For me, Orange Shirt Day is a nice day to remind us that every child matters. So Phyllis Webstad was the creator of the Orange Shirt Day. She was a residential school survivor, and before she went to school, her grandma had bought an orange shirt. And then when she went to the school, they took the orange shirt away. And it made her feel like she didn't matter. So for me, I'm an intergenerational trauma survivor. I didn't actually attend residential schools, but I know the after effects and impacts of that. I think that the one thing that I really want the church to share is that we as United Church lift this up because it's so important, because we have Indigenous ministries, because we want to be united together, because we want to lift each other up, and that we as the United Church are trying to make reparations to those survivors. That's really important. And then the other part that's very important is the region's responsibility from the non-Indigenous church to reach out to the BC Native Ministry. So here in the region of British Columbia, we expect that the non-Indigenous church will reach out to the BC Native Ministries because we have a lot of people that we could lift up in those communities, and we should be lifting them up. It's time to celebrate and have people feel like they matter. That's really important. And how do we have good relations if we don't start lifting each other up? That's the part that for me, that's the most important component of this, that the church can make reparations by doing so. So wear an orange shirt, invite somebody from the BC Native Ministries to come to speak, to do a Zoom meeting, to answer questions, have a real survivor from their community, because we have 11 communities and every single one of them will have hundreds of survivors. Not all will be able to speak to it, but the ones that are willing, we can lift that voice up. And that we can also try to honor them in a good way too. So when the region is trying to lift that up, we want to be able to honor the elders in a respectful way, in a protocol that is specific to that community, because we have 638 First Nations and every single one is different. So you need to ask that community, how can we lift you up? How can we meet the protocol? How can we do better? And what can we do to help? That's the part, right? So I think that the region could do, if the region could do those things, it would help along A, in our good relations, and B, with our reparations, because the church has a responsibility to make reparations to the survivors. It's really important. We need to restore the dignity that was stolen when they were in the residential schools, and United Church had residential schools. So we want to make that right in any way that we can, and we'll still keep working at it, right? It's a work in progress. We're not perfect. We just do what we can, but we don't want it to be lip service. We want to be having real good relations.
Orange Shirt Day is very important. We can't forget the legacies that happen in residential schools, especially the negative stuff that happened to a lot of fellow survivors, and the loss of language and culture. I was lucky in residential school, when I found out we can't speak our language, I had 3 younger buddies who were also Gitxsan from a different village, but I knew their parents, and I made a pact with them that we'll secretly talk Gitxsan when we can and where it's possible. So with that, I'd like to go and talk about what I feel is the most common, 3 common things that we face when we're in residential school. The first one is loneliness, and the second is hunger, and the third is fear. We're all away from home. We're in our case in northwestern BC. The intake for Edmonton was from Bella north to Nass River, and from Gitxsan country, Hazelton area, west to Haida Gwaii. That includes the Tsimshan Nation. And that was us in residential school from the northwest of BC. But when you're there, there's 100 guys around you, from 5-year-olds to 20-year-olds. And you don't know them right away, of course. But one thing that hits you right away is loneliness. Hunger. Hunger because the food is not all that great and sparse. We don't get fresh milk, get powdered milk that's quite diluted, as an example, and you don't get much on your plate. When our desserts were orange, apples now and then, and some cookies. So I guess in one respect, orange brings back a lot of memories on orange dessert days. But for us guys, the dessert was the most important item, because you can trade. You can, like orange or apples, you can sneak it out in your pocket and you can use it to trade. Fear, the third commonality in my books, is quite severe, because mentally you have it in your head. Whatever you do, there's a fear of repercussions from the supervisor or bigger boys. You can get beaten up severely by the bigger boys, just as bad as being beaten up or strapped like hell by the male supervisors. So fear is a constant thing that's in the back of your head. So you have to survive, you have to be very aware of what's around you. So basically, those are the things I'd like to talk about on Orange Day, which again is very important, symbolism. We can't forget.
So thank you for listening and reflecting. As we reflect as a congregation, as we reflect as a region, I think it is important to know that the United Church has done a lot of work in dealing with working on reconciliation issues and concerns. And to me, one of the things that we need to do as a church is understand some of our documents, our foundational documents. This includes the calls to the church and the caretaker's report. The caretaker's report, for those of you who don't know, was compiled by the Indigenous churches, United Churches across Canada. And they put together their vision, their mandate, they put together their reflections on what is needed within the United Church, the next steps. So I think as congregations begin to ponder and begin to reflect, what are we called to do as the church? I think it's going to be important to take a look at the calls to the church and the caretaker's report. Equally important is to know the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and its calls to action. So I think there's a lot of food for thought in this document. It talks about the cultural genocide that happened with the residential schools. So it's important to take note of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report and to contemplate, what are we as a congregation called to do? And finally, one of the foundational documents which I ask each and every congregation to look at is the United Nations on the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Our province, British Columbia, has been visionary and a leader in adopting the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. So we as a province, I think, have much to say. We have much to do to lead the country in what is going to be called reconciliation in the future. So I leave you with these thoughts, with these reflections, and each time I think we need to answer, what are we called to do? What is God calling you to do? Blessings upon all of you. I pray that you will all be safe, and we'll see you soon. Go in peace.